My guest today is widely considered the best kicker in the game today. I'm willing to go one step further and state that if he continues to play at this level until he retires, he'll be considered the best in the history of the game. It's rare to see a kicker who combines power and accuracy the way Justin Tucker does. He's a brilliant example of what is right about football and what personal excellence looks like. Justin, welcome to Great Dane Nation. Congrats on a spectacular display of kicking this last decade, brother. It's really impressive to watch the consistency that you've been able to put forth out there in stressful situations, in big moments, in any type of condition, any type of weather. What's your secret sauce, brother?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, man. It's an honor, just to get a chance to connect with you. And that was some high praise coming from, a man I consider to be the greatest of all time, doing what we do. So thank you very much. But if there's any secret stuff or something like Michael Jordan had in Space Jam, then I'd love to figure out what that is, because I think this more than anybody else out there. It's all about taking it one kick at a time, one practice at a time, just one day at a time, and not getting too high with the highs or too low with the lows. Just being present and enjoying the journey when you can.
I think also not getting ahead of yourself, right, Justin? Many times when we're younger, we're impatient. And I think you and I had a conversation about this recently, is when we're young, we want to force ourselves on the game. We want to force ourselves into situations that are not there yet.
For sure.
And it creates a tremendous amount of anxiety sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas when we mature, we kind of start resting a little bit more in ourselves. I mean, still stressful, don't get me wrong, especially when you're kicking at a 90% level like you are. The bar's just set higher. But as we mature, I think letting the game come to you and trusting the fact that you're prepared and then plugging yourself in becomes a little easier. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Like you said, letting the opportunities kind of present themselves and not pressing, whether it's technically or otherwise. Early on in my career, I, was hitting the ball well, but not at the level of consistency that I knew I would need to, in order to sustain a higher level of success. I was making kicks, but I wasn't making every single kick exactly how I wanted to.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like, the ball comes off my foot and I know right away whether or not I hit the ball exactly how I wanted to. Not necessarily whether or not I'm going to make the kick, but, as soon as the ball leaves my foot, like I know if I've hit the sweet spot, I could probably not even watch the ball go through the posts and know it's going exactly where I want it.
I know the feeling on that, and it's what we refer to in the high performance business as unconscious competence. You're able to do it without thinking about it. And I know that Rosberg has shared some of the levels of learning with you, I'm sure. What we don't want is conscious incompetence or unconscious incompetence. That's when you don't know that you don't know, but the unconscious competence is when you're able to do it at 4 a.m. I can call you up and say, "Hey, Justin, I need a 48-yard from the right hash right now." You can wipe the sleep out of your eyes and say, "Okay, let's do it. I'll go recruit I'll go recruit that dominant performance, that positive behavior, and let it rip." And you're right. Your ball flight has changed a little bit. And I saw some older tape of you. Your ball flight is really nice and vertical and tight. It doesn't deviate a lot. I mean, if you miss, it's because of something else. It's probably the plant foot, let's face it.
Sure. No, you're probably 100% right on that.
Your body alignment. But was there a shift for you? You said, okay, you hadn't achieved that high level of consistency on ball striking. At what point, and what caused you to get to that level? Was it just repetition? Was somebody there that helped you figure that out? Or what was that process like?
I think there are many factors at play. I would point to the people around me for one. I feel like it's really important to give credit where credit's due in this business, and having a level of consistency around our operation between the snap, the hold, and the kick. For the longest time, I was blessed to be able to work with Morten Cox, who's an excellent, consistent long snapper. Sam Koch, who I joke with him that his most important job here with the Baltimore Ravens is holding balls so I can kick them. And then, Jerry Rosberg, Randy Brown, Chris Horton, John Harbaugh is
old
special teams enthusiast. So
for sure.
Having the people around the kick, I would say, is incredibly important. Having that in place, so I could, in a way, have the freedom to develop what I needed to develop and what nobody else except for myself knew how to take to the next level. So for me, I'd point to all the other folks around me for the longest time. And then I would say, being able to humble myself enough to where I could recognize at a point in time, I'm not the best in the game right now. I am second or third in my own evaluation to somebody else out there. And in 2014, 2015, it would have to be Stephen Gostkowski. Stephen is an excellent ball striker, a great athlete. Has, in my opinion, he's got like the best attitude. He cares deeply about making kicks and performing at a high level, but he also has this balance of not taking it too seriously to where it can, be to your detriment. So, around 2015, I really made it a point to watch Stephen and study how he kicks and talk to him a little bit. Tried to take some of the things. I tried to take some of the things that he was doing technically very well, in my opinion, and apply them to my own technique. So Stephen has a way of finishing through the ball downfield at his target line really emphatically, to a point where he's not just finishing at his plant spot landing or his plant foot landing. He's finishing his kick all the way through to where he's right behind the long snapper and the left and right guard at the end of the play. And I think emphasizing that level of finish is, something that stood out to me about his game, his technique. So one day in August of the 2016 preseason, Morten Cox and I were on field 2 for one of our training camp practices, and we were having this discussion. And he's like, "Well, why don't you just try kind of doing it like Stephen does it?" So I kicked a couple of balls, overemphasizing that. In a way, it almost looks funny, overemphasizing that finish downfield at your target line. And the first 5 balls I hit went exactly where I wanted, were straight down the middle. We have like a camera pole that, sticks out in the middle of the uprights. And I hit it like 4 times in a row. So, Morgan and I kind of look at each other and we're like, I think we might be onto something. So since that practice in August of 2016, I had kind of, made a marked shift in my own technique. I'd made to me, it was like a pretty significant adjustment in the way I struck the ball and finished through my target line. And, I kind of haven't looked back since. And then so like having the right people around me, making that adjustment in my technique in 2016, those are 2 of the biggest factors factors that I can think of. But then maybe the biggest factor is, welcoming our son Easton into the world in 2016. Forget about kicking footballs, but having that experience, becoming a dad for the first time, and kind of getting this instant, reality check, this instant shift in perspective, where, my wife, Amanda, and Easton are, it just makes things so much more real, like this game that we're playing it's a game, sure, but it's also incredibly important to all of us. So, finding every single little way to make the game about kind of, all of us is, something that I've, maybe unconsciously done over the last now 5 years. And, I had a really, really successful 2016 season where we basically made everything. We had one kick blocked that year, but I was, you mentioned unconscious competence. I think another label that I've heard put on that state of being would just be, you're in the zone.
Yeah.
Well, that whole season I was in this, zone, and I kind of feel like I'm still there. And when asked at the end of the season, like, hey, what did you do differently? I just was tired because neither my wife nor I were sleeping at all because we had a newborn. I was, drinking a reasonable amount of cab-based California blends, and I was having peanut butter waffles every morning at the facilities. So, those handful of factors, they all go into making kicks. And in a way it's like overly simple, but I think it's a formula that works.
They add up to quality of life, my friend.
100%.
And I also think when you become a parent, when you become a father, it also adds a certain amount of dimension and perspective to your life, because all of a sudden there's a shift from, let's face it, our existence on the football field can be pretty self-absorbing and narcissistic if you're not careful. It's all about us. It's all about everybody else adjusting their lives to accommodate us, because we got to go put foot to ball on Sunday afternoon. Yeah. And when that little boy or girl is born, besides the magic of childbirth, I mean, the creation, unbelievable. And then it hits you, at least it did me. And I have two boys now. We have two boys. And, the legacy part becomes important, not right away, but the lineage, not that you think about your own mortality, but you think about the circle of life, and you start thinking about the responsibility. But it also frees you up and gives you a certain amount of peace, I think, to eat those peanut butter waffles and have that Cabernet blend and feel okay about it and say, that is absolutely the only right thing to do right here, right now.
No doubt.
And live in and you said something really important. You've been able to stay present. I love that, because as I said earlier, we get ahead of ourselves, or we're not fast enough. But to stay right there, right now is to me probably the most important thing for a kicker, because it happens so quickly, has to be so precise.
Absolutely.
And the trust has to be there and all that. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you mentioned, like we both have this appreciation for being present in those 1.3 seconds that it matters. None of your emotions or feelings really matter in the moment that you're approaching the ball to kick it. What matters
I was 117, but okay, 1.3, that's slow.
We just have I don't know, we just have better blockers these days, man. Yeah. These guys are they're all bigger, faster, stronger. So let's take a little bit,
if you got
longer.
You got 1.3. Oh my God, what a luxury. What a luxury.
Yeah, 1.3 from
nice.
8 yards away. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a good life.
That is
but great... and those, all right, so those 1.17 to 3 seconds. The only thing that truly matters is the execution. What matters is falling back on your technique that you've worked on perfecting in practice, and knowing that it's not going to be perfect, but still finding a way to make it as close to perfect as possible. So you give the ball the best chance of going through the uprights, putting points on the board for your team, and in a way for yourself, because there is something just really therapeutic and cathartic about seeing the ball go through the uprights, knowing that your hard work is paying off. And there is also a level of that in that 1.3 seconds, you do kind of have to get very much into your own world. Because you know the reality of it. You're on an island. Everybody's watching you in that moment. You have to do everything you can to block out the noise and focus on, the task at hand. Hey, Sam. Hey, Sam, come say hi.
Hi, guys.
Hey, what do we got,
Morten
Sam?
Andersen.
Hey, buddy.
Morten, how are you doing?
How are you, Sam?
Am I interrupting a meeting?
No, we're just doing a little squad cast. How's it going? What do we
nice.
got? A little monster drink or something? What do we?
They call it Resync, support your immune system, heart health, and energy. So,
Yeah, we got to start
Beautiful.
doing that now that we're 30-something-year-old dinosaurs in this league, Morten.
Hey, talk to me when you're 48, my man.
yeah, I'm almost there.
I hope we look as good as you do.
No, you're doing great. So
Good seeing you, Morten.
good to see you, Sam. There's nothing better than a little cameo appearance once in a while, Justin. And he's obviously an integral part of your success, as you mentioned earlier, and how everything has to fit like fingers in a glove. So important. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's so important. I got to ask you about, I mean, there's so much in your life that interests me, but take me through that 66-yard record-breaking field goal. I know you've done it a million times, but it's special because it's history, right? And so anytime we have a historic moment in sports, I just had Kirk Gibson on, and he talked about his home run against Eckersley in the World Series, and that was a special, iconic moment in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really, the 66-yard field goal, and I think you'll get one from 70 plus eventually. There's a couple other guys that'll get a shot at that, I think. But take me to Detroit, take me to Ford Field, and take me through from the time that the Ravens are driving. What was the conversation? Had that been determined pregame? Because I always did that pregame. The distance. The coaches knew what my range was pregame, so they could strategize. And I don't know if you do that. I have a feeling you might be doing that as well. But take me through that moment.
Yeah. So, I actually do not involve myself in that conversation at all. We have a member of our coaching staff, Randy Brown, who has been with me as long as I've been here, and a little bit, and he's been with the Ravens beforehand. He's been with Harbs beforehand, before they were all here in Baltimore. But one of his key roles is to serve as the liaison between the calm zone of the bench where the kickers and punters and snappers hang out, and then all the rest of the chaotic stuff going on in a given game day.
Yeah.
So Randy, one of his roles is to communicate, hey, this is where we feel pretty good from. If we need to have a kick on the opening drive of the game, or the middle of the third quarter, whatever it may be, like normal course of the game.
Sure.
This is where we feel like we need to get to have a high likelihood of making the kick. And for us, that range is usually, pretty substantial. I mean, we'll attempt, if the conditions are right, we'll attempt a 55-yard field goal in the first quarter because we know it's a, decently high percentage, makeability there. And then, when it's a gotta have it type of situation at the end of, especially at the end of the game, but even at the end of the half, that range increases. So, for Detroit specifically, in pregame warmups, I was short from 65 each way. just for whatever reason, like earlier on in a day, I just didn't have 65 yards in me. And I always back it up as kind of as far as I can in each direction, just to get an idea for how the ball is flying. And
there's not, the adrenaline is not there either. I mean,
right. Right. And that's definitely a factor.
Yeah.
So, at the end of, toward the end of the game, so first of all, I missed a 49-yard field goal to open the game. And I kind of found this out after the fact, but I hadn't missed a field goal inside in, ever until, like now it's my 10th year in the league and I finally missed one. So, now after the fact, especially since we made the winner, I can kind of, pat myself on the back about that one. But
right. That's pretty significant.
While we're in the middle of the game, I'm just thinking, man, I just like, if we lose by, 1, 2, 3 points, like, I feel like it's not unfair to, you can kind of put it on me. Like those points are, they were kind of just left out there in the universe and we should have had them. Well, as the game is kind of coming down to the wire, Ryan Santoso kicks a 35-yarder with, about a minute left. And, I knew I was going to have to, if given the opportunity, I was going to have to make the kick to win the game. Well, then we're looking at, 3rd and long, and then 4th and 19. And it doesn't really look good for the good guys. So, what do
you dial up at 4th and 19? Hard to dial a play up, except let's bring out the leg.
Well, right. Well, good news for us. We have Lamar Jackson. So on 4th and 19 from deep in our own territory, he just throws a dime down the left sideline, completed at, the plus 48-yard line. We get down, clock it, try to, grab a few extra yards, don't get them. And, we're looking at a 66-yarder to, 66-yard walk-off game-winning field goal.
Which is
and
sick.
I knew I knew I didn't have 65 in me a couple hours prior, but like you said, I knew I'd get that adrenaline rush, and I kind of took a little crow hop into the kick. I trusted that our dudes up front were going to be able to hold on for just an extra 10th of a second, which they did. The ball came firing out, and so Nick Moore, credit to him, our new long snapper this year, threw his first game-winning snap on a record-breaking 66-yard field goal to win the game. Sam does what he always does. He just does his job and puts the ball down, and I just get to smash this ball. And, as soon as it left my foot and it cleared the line, I knew it was going to have a chance. So I kind of, scamper out to the left after it leaves my foot just to get a better vantage point. And it hits the crossbar. I see one of our firemen, Avon Bryant, down under the goalposts, who helps with he helps with the K ball on game day, and his hands are the first ones that I see go up like this, and that's when we all knew that we had made the kick. And I emphasize we, of course, like the ball comes off my foot, but there's a lot that goes into making. And a lot has to go right for a 66-yard field goal in a dome where, I actually think it's a little tougher to get the ball to go because in a dome, 70, 75 degrees, whatever the temperature is, it's just, the air is a little heavier than when you're outside. Even if you got like a little bit of a breeze, sometimes you can just find a way to get the ball to go a little bit when you're outside compared to when you're inside. So, as soon as Avon sticks his hands up, we know that we made the kick, and everything that had to go right, from the guys blocking up front, from the snap to the hold to the ball bouncing off the crossbar, it all went in our favor. And we have, a rather historic moment that we can, all kind of look back on fondly. And especially for me, just because not because I really wanted to crack at the record or anything like that. I'm just glad that I was able to atone for my prior sins earlier in the game, missing a 49-yard layup that I, should have had. So knowing that we got out of there with a win, and it kind of, gave our team like a little bit of a jolt. That's just, I mean, the feeling, like when you make the big kick to win the game, there's just nothing quite like it.
Yeah. You just go blank, and you just are in the moment. It goes fast too. You get this hot feeling and just a euphoric
No doubt.
feeling.
No doubt.
And the celebration ensued. It was fun to watch you and the enthusiasm. And I assume the ball and the shoe and the uniform is in Canton, Ohio.
The shoes, my uniform, they're in Canton. But I'm gonna hold on to the football. I feel like that's gonna be a fun one to just.
I think that's a good one to keep.
Take off the shelf, play a little catch in the basement with my son. And
oh yeah, hey, yeah, that's cool. So if I say Mack Brown to you, what do you say, Justin?
I say leader. I say friend. I say coach. And I also think about how he pushed me in a way that I did not know I needed to be pushed when I was 18, 19 years old. So I know that's a little bit of a long answer for the name game, but I'll always have love for Coach Brown.
John Harbaugh.
Leader, passionate, loves the game, loves his players, loves his coaches, does an excellent job motivating us to win.
Ed Reed.
Greatest safety of all time.
I concur. Ray Lewis.
Greatest linebacker, maybe greatest defensive player of all time.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't say that lightly, because I got to play with a couple of these guys all at the same time. Got to go win a Super Bowl with these guys. So Ray, yeah, greatest defensive player of all time, champion.
Terrell Suggs.
T-Sizzle worldwide. Why?
T-Sizzle?
He's the ultimate. Hey, he's the ultimate Raven, ultimate competitor. Okay. Amazing to have in the locker room. Great for picking up the vibe, no doubt.
High school teammate Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, cool, calm, collected, poised. And again, champion. Westlake High School, we breed champions. I don't know. There's something in the water down there, between Drew Brees, Nick Foles, myself, and hey, there's many others coming along the way.
Joe Flacco.
One of my good friends, maybe the best arm talent I've ever seen.
Let's leave it at that, brother. Keep it rolling, man. Keep it rolling. Aim for the middle. The middle never changes, Justin.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Hey, maybe we could apply that idea to just American politics, and we'd all be happier as a society. Aim for the middle.
Aim for the middle. Eat more peanut butter waffles and drink more great Meritage Cab.
There you go.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
All right, Morten. Thanks for having me, man.